Hey guys, Jerred Moon here from Into 3 Fitness, and today we're talking about block programming, and that's something that makes Into 3 Fitness and our garage gym athlete programming very unique, and so let's dive into it. Before we really dive into exactly what block programming is, I think it would be helpful if I explained why we even did this in the first place. So several years ago at Into 3 Fitness, we launched our very first 12-week training cycle, and we had 100 people jump on board. And I was super excited. It was just me at the time. I had no staff, no coaches, nobody backing me up. So I was a little scared of, training all these people and helping them see results. We'd already put out a lot of stuff to help people results, but this is the first real 12-week training cycle. And the group was so diverse. We had people who were in their 50s and their 20s, males, females, everything in between. And I planned every single second, every rep, everything was as perfect as I could make it as a programmer at that time. And the feedback I was getting from those first 100 athletes was incredible. They loved the workouts, they loved the training. They just had one common complaint, and they kept telling me over and over again, it's like, hey, this stuff is great, but it's taking me way too long. It's taking me an hour and a half, some days 2 hours, so on and so forth. And that didn't actually make sense to me, because I knew a couple athletes who were doing the programming. I was doing it. Some of us could get it done in an hour. And so what I realized was happening was just there was no discipline, and I wasn't providing any direction or exact time frames or time limits for our athletes. I wanted it done in an hour, not a second longer, because I know not everyone has that much time to devote to training. And so what we ended up inventing or creating was block programming, and that's where every single part of our training is broken down into 10-minute blocks. The reason I really love these 10-minute blocks is because it's like following a GPS in your car. All you have to do, set in the directions, which we set for you, and whatever goal you want to achieve that you might be following in our programming, and then you just do 10 minutes at a time. Focused intensity, 10 minutes at a time every single day, and you're going to get towards your goals. You don't have to think about these big cycles. You don't have to think of mashing strength together with conditioning. We just want you to focus on 10-minute blocks at a time to help you reach your goals. And I think that is why we have been so successful in helping people get results, is because we're not just thinking about what's the best programming, we're also thinking about how could this best be utilized by our athletes. So we're going to talk about programming a little bit more, because at Into 3 Fitness we program in year-long macro cycles, and then what I'm holding here, all of these pieces of paper, would be our mesocycle, one of our mesocycles throughout the year, and then I have them broken down by color. This is how we program our microcycles, our shorter training sessions, training weeks. And this kind of keeps me organized. We do use a lot of spreadsheets, calculators, and whatnot, but I'm old-fashioned when it comes to first getting it out of my brain, and I do that with these colored papers. So let me talk about this a little bit more. So we have 25 training blocks per week. I'll explain what a block is in a second. Before I get to that, I'm not going to be talking about everything that we put in here, because that can be very dependent on an individual or training goal or training cycle. But what I do want to talk about are these 5 different areas that we train, which is strength and prehab, metabolic conditioning, general fitness, Z-lift, and the daily. So I'm going to break those down for you in a little bit more detail on the whiteboard. All right, after you understand the 10-minute block portions for each day, we then expand that out to different areas or different training blocks that we would be using to make sure that the athlete is extremely well-rounded. The first is going to be strength or prehab. Now we have other videos at Into 3 Fitness going over Prilipin's chart, but there are a lot of different ways to program in strength, but we're going to make sure that we're hitting strength and then also prehabbing that athlete. This can mean a lot of different things. It could be working on, the hamstrings, the ligaments, tendons, all the smaller muscles that people don't focus on as much. You could be doing 100 repetitions of a hamstring curl with ankle weights on. Very small things that are not just barbell lifting or just focusing on, going to the max repetitions or going heavier every time. We really like to put in some of that prehab work with our training as well to keep athletes healthy. And that's the first training area that we hit in our block programming. The next portion that we hit is metabolic conditioning. This could be, you could call it mixed modal training. Some people say it's CrossFit style. It's where you have multiple different elements, and we have very specific ways that we program our Metcons. They're never random, and they coincide with the strength training or different energy system training. But the next area that we do like for people to hit is metabolic conditioning. And so that CrossFit style stuff, that mixed modal training, something that's going to get you better in a bunch of different modalities as opposed to just one thing like endurance or strength or anything like that. Next we have Gen Fit, which is just general fitness. This is more hitting the aerobic portion of your workouts. Could be long distance runs, could be interval training, could be energy system training that's targeted at increasing your aerobic capacities. But we have to have that general fitness in there to keep our human beings, our athletes, as efficient as possible with the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, and just making sure that they have that endurance that's going to help them in life and through recovering during different more high intensity exercises and workouts. The fourth area, as we like to call, we just like to call it Z. And this could be anything stability related. We call it Z because we'd like to do a lot of Zercher lifts, Zercher holds, Zercher walks. And so we have the Z in there, but it really can be anything stability related. So it could be walking with a barbell overhead or walking with a banded kettlebell overhead, things like that. It could be lunges, a lot of different exercises that are going to help you with your stability and make you more stable as an athlete. All right, the last area that we hit with our athletes is what we call the daily. And this is something that we actually do every day, and that's why we call it the daily. The other areas that we train are not something that we do every single day. And in the daily, we're going to be doing things like focusing on your abdominals or your lower back, areas that you can train every day and should be to make sure that you're a healthy athlete. We do a lot of front leaning rest, toes to bar, strict toes to bar, not kipping toes to bar, and things that are going to keep your core all the way around really strong and ready to tackle strength training and other workouts. One block is 10 minutes of training, and we train 5 days per week, 5 blocks per day, so 25 blocks per week. But I also mentioned when I was talking about the daily is the only thing that we do every single day. And that's where a lot of people get confused about our training, is they think that we're just hitting all of these areas every single day. But to be honest, you can't do that because things like general fitness, if you want to be more aerobic, you have to actually just put in the time. So sometimes that could be 5 full blocks on day 3 of just a run. And so that could take up your entire day. And it's spreading these out over the course of a week is how we actually do it. So I'm not going to, like I said, write in all the details of a training week right now, but here is what we would do. Go ahead and mark off the daily, because that's going to be training blocks. And then you might do strength and prehab 3 times that week. You might hit a Metcon here and a Metcon here. Maybe you want to do some general fitness along with that Metcon. And then you want to get some Z lift in. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so we have 10 more blocks left. And so the strength training, in all honesty, it might be strength and prehab that we have to do. And this general fitness right here might actually end up taking 3 blocks per day. And so now what are we at? 22. All right, we got 3 blocks left. Let's do another general fitness day just to make it easy. And so this is what a training week would look like. We obviously put a lot more thought into it than me randomly throwing the X's, but this helps us make sure that we are getting really more well-rounded. And if you wanted to use a template like this, you could, because once you start laying week to week, you can realize, okay, I didn't do this much metabolic conditioning this week. Maybe I want to increase that for my specific goals, or maybe I did a lot of aerobic work. I don't want to do as much the next week. It really depends if you're trying to hit something specific or you're just doing general physical preparedness. But you can really look at your week and be like, okay, I have hit everything. What am I going to be doing next week? And then after you kind of have a template that you like and it's going to help you meet your goals, you can start filling this in with a lot more details in those specific 10-minute training blocks. Block programming used to just be this small little thing, but we've really just deemed all of our programming as block programming. And what you have here is the very bird's eye view of how to tackle a training week and then make those coincide with each other going week to week, up to a 12-week cycle or a year if you really want to plan out your training in a very thorough way. So if you like this video and you want to see more, you want to get more into the weeds, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. That way I can make more of them. And the more you like and subscribe, the more videos I can make explaining this in a lot more detail. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching.